Welcome to Sisterhood Check-In. I am your author and coach, Nadira Lewis, and I am excited that you are joining Fridays with me here, especially on Christmas Eve, here on Sisterhood Check-In. I am excited. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. I also want to take the time, if you are watching me via YouTube, make sure you click the subscribe button. Make sure you hit the notification button so that you can be notified every time we upload a new video. If you are watching us via Facebook, make sure you click the like and share button if you've been blessed by the content that you have been receiving this far. Hey guys! So I'm excited. I've been sick for the past week. I've lost my voice. And now I'm back in full force with my voice at 99.99999%. Praise God. So I'm excited. And I have an amazing show lined up for you today. And I am going to talk about something. It's amazing because I almost felt like I wanted to do a replay today. And I thought, with all the things that's going on today, I was like, me just recovering. I'm just going to do a replay. And then as I was sitting there thinking, I thought, you know what? I've pushed past a lot of things in my life. I've had my times where allowed myself to rest. But there are some times when you just know you just have to push past your comfort zone. And even though I have well rested, now there's a difference when you haven't rested. Then you have to rest. But I know that I've given my body the rest that it needs. And I knew it was time. I missed you guys. I had to come back on and make sure that I do. It's funny because I thought about the scripture that says, when you are converted, strengthen the brethren. And God has converted me and brought me through a lot of things. And I was not going to allow one extra thing to stop me from becoming and fulfilling the will of God for my life. So I'm excited to be back. And today I wanted to really talk about something that was amazing. Talking about mainly about not allowing anything to stop you. Whatever it is that's stopping you, execute. And I know some people might have thought, well, it should say this, but no, I meant it exactly how it says. Execute whatever it is that you are designed to do. Execute it. You're going to get better at it as you go and do it. Majority of the times we wait for it to be perfect. We wait for things to be right before we do it. And let me tell you something, and which is part of what I'm going to talk about in this broadcast, is I'm going to talk about some of the milestones that I've gone through in doing even Sisterhood Check-In. I didn't want to be in front of a camera. I was comfortable talking one-on-one with people and sharing my testimony and just telling them, encouraging people one-on-one. I was never one that liked to be behind the mic, liked to be in front of people, but this has been an amazing opportunity, and it's really, I don't take it for granted because of the amount of people that follow me on all of my pages are close to 10,000 followers. And I know that for that many people to follow what I actually do and what I say, that I have to make sure that I'm present. And I talked about that in the previous show. Make sure that I'm present and I'm making sure that I'm walking out the will of God for my life. So today, before I start this video, we're going to talk about I'm going to show you my beginning. The Bible says, despise not the day of small beginnings. If there's something that God has put in your heart to do, and you're worried about if I have the right equipment, you're worried if I'm going to stutter behind my words, am I going to have the right things to say? Let me tell you, I'm going to show you some of my humble beginnings to see exactly where I am and to prove to you that with practice and with consistency that you can get better at no matter what it is that you do. Okay, so I'm going to play this quick video. When we come back, I'm going to show you, we're going to go ahead and get into today's broadcast. Thank you for watching. I'll see you soon. Hey, hey, I'm back. And I just wanted to just say for all of you that are out there and you're out with your family or you're out on a road, be careful, take your time getting to your destination, to your family's house, and make sure that above all the things that you're celebrating the gift, the true gift, which is the gift of life, right? Some of us didn't wake up this morning. I was looking at the news today earlier, and I don't really normally watch the news, but I saw like it just like flashed up on my phone, and it was like 30 people dead, and I'm like, oh my gosh, just the people are. The closer we get to the holidays, in the midst of the holidays, after the holidays, there's so much death that is taking place for so many different reasons. So don't take for granted the time that you have with your family. Make sure that as you're opening up those presents, and as you're opening up those gifts, that you don't forget the one gift that God has given us, and that's the gift of salvation. And so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share some of my humble beginnings in the midst. And this particular episode, I'm really excited to show this because this was like I said, I was always very nervous. And so there will be times when I would be doing and preparing for the Sisterhood check-in broadcast, and sometimes my screen would just go blank. And some of you that are early watchers that have been watching from the beginning, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So I'm going to call this like the little blooper section. I'm going to show you some of my interviews where I actually went blank, because I want you to be encouraged, and I want you to know that now I'm better. With practice and with better equipment, I didn't allow what I had at the time to do what I was supposed to do, to hinder me from doing what I was supposed to do. And I don't want you to look at, well, I don't have this and I don't have that. I want you to start where you are. And I want you to start being grateful for what things you do have. You have your voice, you have your testimony. I was listening to this thing, and they were talking about how it was talking about the power of your story. And I was thinking about that. And so many of us have stories. So many of us have come through different things in our life where God has allowed us to overcome. And we just sometimes tend to, and it's amazing because as I'm going through my interviews, as I'm asking certain questions to bring out some of the stories of the women that I've interviewed, I've noticed that in a few of my interviews, women are breezing past their story. And I want you to know that your story, there's a cost that you had to pay to be able to be present, be in your right mind, to be able to tell and share your story. So when it comes to you having an opportunity to share the goodness of God in your life, or to share the things that you've overcome, don't take your story for granted. Don't look at your story and look at it as, oh, it ain't really that big of a deal because I'm where I am, because I'm delivered now. No, your story is what's going to help people, because like I said, many people talk about the beginning of their process and they talk about the end of their process. Where people tend to get stuck in life is in the process. So the more you begin to share your process in your story, you begin to help free other people to be able to come out of their circumstance and out of their help them to be brave enough to share your story. So I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to share one of my interviews, which it was funny. This particular interview, and and it's funny because I said I hope you got your popcorn, because this was funny. This is an interview I did with Kimberly Clayton, and I messed up her name. And it's funny because I've known Kimberly for many, 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 many years, and yet here I am, because I'm so nervous. Yes, I was still nervous to be able, I was messing up her name in the interview like hundreds of times. I just blanked out in the middle. Well, I'll let you see a little bit of the clip of it and you let me know. And it's okay to laugh. It's okay to laugh, because trust me, we are all despise. The Bible says, despise not the day of small beginnings. So I want you to see some of my beginnings when I was actually doing this. You're going to literally find this hilarious. Okay. So, oh, here we go. Let me go where we are. All right. So we're going to go ahead and play this. And I'm going to show you the section where I actually completely just planked off the screen. All right. Here we go. going through your page because you have like you since that post you've actually post so many different ones. So hold on, let me go into your actual photos. And
actually, I'll tell you, it was I posted on January the third. So, but there's an album on my page. There's an album that says with that picture. There's a whole album with that picture in it on my page.
Okay,
you see, okay.
I do see it. So, and then it was funny because you don't know my pain, and I'm going to share this on the screen. So give me one moment. Let me go ahead.
No problem.
Let's see. And as you can see, I was struggling with my screen. Let's see. And as you can see here, I froze on the screen, and I must have froze for literally about 10 minutes while my guest was on the screen. So, and I have the fastest internet that there could possibly be in my area, but yet still, I don't know if it's something that if you can have to open it up. Hold on one second. I'm about to make it available. So this picture right here, that shows, hold on, I think it's trying to catch up a little bit because of everything that all the clicks that I went through. So let's give it a few minutes to actually. And before I continue, this is what I want to point out is that it doesn't matter what you're doing, what adventure, whatever it is that you're doing, especially when you're going live or when you're doing things, you just sometimes got to keep going. I didn't know what the heck. I was just talking as I was going through. I didn't know what the heck I was saying, but you'll see how I just disappeared completely off the screen. Catch up. Show exactly what. One second. So, and you can see I'm not even on the screen. Talk to us going on in your life while I'm here. Talk to us about what was going on in your life in this picture.
Okay, sure. So I always share and I be very transparent because I really want my story to help somebody. So I'm always transparent. So around 2008, I became sick. I became ill.
Now, mind you, as she's doing her testimony, I'm completely off. My computer had completely shut down, and I didn't know exactly. I was like totally. I had blood. I mean, when I tell you, I had cold sweats in my body. I was literally sweating from my head all the way down. I was like literally like smacking the computer because I was so frustrated because I just wanted to get through that moment. And sometimes that's what it's like. Sometimes when we're going through things, we just want to get through the moment and we just want things to pass. But I want to let you continue to see as we go through how I just totally disappeared off the scene and left my guest literally after she began to share her testimony for a few minutes. And I was literally gone for like 10 minutes as she's sharing.
Just was more like, Mom, you okay? You need that, Mom? So I didn't want him to see me in my most vulnerable states. So a lot of times I was straying away to the room and I would have Brittany come in, to kind of help me get through it because again, it's hard. I mean, you see, we're supposed to be the parents. Like, our kids should take care of us. Like, I don't know. Why are my kids taking care of me?
And here,
so that's not how I felt that it should have been.
And here, as you can see, I completely vanished off the screen. Completely vanished off the screen. But thankfully, my guest was able to continue to keep going and talk, even though she looked confused, like, oh God.
I thank God for them. At the same time, it was hard being on dialysis 3 days a week. I would go 6 in the morning to 10 in the morning. I would be there 4 hours. And you're literally there watching your blood being filtered out your body. And back.
And here she begins to talk for at least another 5 minutes without me on camera. Oh, I'm echoing. I'm so sorry. Let me make sure I got my mic situated. So she's pretty much let me turn it down some. So she's basically um talking and buying time for me to get back on stage, get back onto the thing. And I was laughing because I had to keep going. And that's the point that I want to make, that no matter what industry, what it is that you're doing, you have to keep going. You can't allow your plans, for what you have for that day to to feel like, oh man, I'm just going to give up and throw in the towels. You have to keep going. You have to keep moving. And that's the point of what I said, is whatever it is that you got to do this year, execute, execute. And oh, okay, I got you, Sabrina. Hi, Sabrina. Yes, you have to execute no matter what it is that you do. You have to execute, because guess what? There's going to be times, when you think about people in the military, they don't have time. When it's time, they prepare, they spend their time in boot camp preparing for, excuse me, for that moment when they're about to go to war. It's the same way with life. When we're going through our trials and what tribulations, we are preparing to go through. We are preparing to make it through. We can't allow the inconveniences, the little things to stop us from keep going. So we got to keep going. We got to keep moving. So I'm going to show you, this is with Kimberly. Kimberly, for those that watch, Kimberly had diabetes and she had kidney failure. And in her kidney failure, she has been, she was in a coma, and she was literally waiting on a kidney, and literally almost died. But God literally, restored her life. So she was prepared for this moment, even if because she had gotten used to and comfortable telling her story. And you have to be the same way. You have to get used to, you have to get comfortable with sharing your story, because somebody's going to listen to your story and it may be the very thing that they need to hear to save their life. So this is one testimony, and I'm going to take you to another one. I'm going to take this back and I'm going to show you another. And these are just examples. And I show you this to encourage you, to let you know, look, you're not the only person that has to navigate through the inconvenient times of life. Here's another one, and I just thought this was hilarious. This is one that I did with Willette. And again, I've known Willette for many, 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 many years. But yet, because I was so nervous, I was messing up her name. I was thinking her name because I was trying to think about what I was going to say, think about what I was going to do. And I'm telling you, it was funny. But I had to keep going. I had to keep pushing, because sometimes the only way to get better at something is to keep at it. So we're going to show you a little brief clip of my little blooper of where I messed up here. And as you can see, Willette is waiting for me to return in the middle of a broadcast. She's waiting for me. I'm interviewing her, and she's still going live. And she's looking like, and I'm stuck, frozen, not knowing what to do, panicking, because all kinds of things is going through my head. Oh my God, did she exit off the show? What happened? But here, as you can see, Willette is trying to figure out, texting me, are you still there? Hello? Are you present? Embarrassing. I'm telling you, nobody have been more embarrassed than me to have guests on your show and things just go completely wrong. And I could have given up, guys. I could have just said, and there's times I've done that. There's times I walked in the room and when my computer shut down, I just said, I'm done. I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm done with this. I can't do this anymore, and gave up. But you know what? I persevered and I kept going, even though I was discouraged that my internet was acting up, even though I was discouraged that my computer kept freezing, that I had so much stuff on my computer. And see, as you can see, even my own guests left executed, right? You got to keep going. You got to keep moving, because you have to have something fueling you than you just wanting to just do something just for the sake of doing it. You have to have purpose fueling you to keep pushing and persevering past those difficult times. And that's what I had to do. I had to push past this particular moment where I was literally gone for 10 minutes, right? 10 minutes. And here I go. I return to the show.
Singles back together.
Return to the show. And guess what? I'm returning back to the show as if nothing happened. And I keep going. And that's what you have to do. Sometimes when things are just getting to be too much and you feel like you about to free, I think my body was sweating from my arms, my armpits, my head, my feet, my hands was just because when you have so many people that you feel like that are watching you over and over again, you don't know exactly what their response is going to be, what's going to happen. And so you get worried and you get concerned like, oh my God, I'm going to be embarrassed, to bring this person on my broadcast. And now for something like this to happen. But you know what? You got to keep going. So that's one event. So I'm going to give you another event and show you another incident where, again, I had to face this. I've had to deal with this many, many times, but you know what? I refuse to give up because I know that this is, that I know that the key to getting through something is to continue to keep going. You're never going to get through anything if you're stuck in the place where you are. You have to keep moving. You have to execute. You have to, even through fear, you have to do it afraid because guess what? The only way to get rid of fear is to activate your faith, right? Is the only way is to keep going, to move even in fear. And you'll realize that once you keep moving in fear, fear is there to cause you to stop and to be stagnant. But when you realize, yes, I'm scared, but I'm gonna keep moving anyway, you'll be amazed at some of the stuff that you are able to get through. And I'm gonna show you another video. This is just so funny. And this video is a video that I've done just by myself, right? Here I am encouraging people and talking. I'm trying to talk, and I had
all right. So
we're
going to talk about
I had a
learning
slideshow,
the
right?
importance of governing yourself.
Okay? Here I am excited, right?
And so when I say governing yourself, it means when you learn how to govern yourself, it's proof that you know how to exercise self-control, right? And so if you don't learn how to govern yourself for the purposes of exercising self-control, then what happens is your appetite will fight you to the grave. How many of y'all had some appetites where you have actually had some things happen and it's pulling you in a direction that you know that you shouldn't be in, but because you want it so badly that you allow?
Notice that my screen is completely fuzzy, right? My screen is completely fuzzy. And as I'm going through this, right, I noticed that as I'm talking, I can't get my presentation. I had a slide up. I can't get my slide up. And you'll see me constantly talking.
Killing you in some way.
And I can't even get my screen up.
For some, it does kill them physical things about.
And I'm going to show.
And I struggle with. I'm tugging with it, but I'm going to govern myself and exercise self-control. Sometimes we have struggle.
And here, I had to just wing it. I had to literally wing it, right? Here I am with a presentation that I can't even present. And my computer screen is frozen, right? And here I am. I can't get through anywhere because my screen is completely frozen. And guess what? I had to keep going. I had to keep persevering. I had to keep moving, even though I wasn't able to pull up my slide. And you tell me, I had all kinds of stuff frozen in the background, right? And you can see I kept going, even in the midst.
Finances, right? If you don't govern and exercise self-control in your finances, then what happens is what? Stuff starts to happen. You start to lose, your credit is affected. Your household expenses are affected. You're not able to pay your bills. It gets frustrating. You start developing stress because you can't pay your bills because you have not been governing yourself along with your finances to make sure that you're exercising self-control. It also affects your relationships when you don't govern yourselves in terms.
So here I am going back and forth, and I'm literally going off. And I had actually a whole presentation on what I was going to talk about, right? have to totally go off of memory because I can't fix my screen. Had to totally go off of memory. And yet I had to continue to persevere. And that's what you have to do. Sometimes when you have a desire to do something, you got to be motivated by purpose. You got to be motivated by just more than just a circumstance. You got to be motivated to push through no matter what's going on. And that's how I want you to look at when it comes to ending out this year, right? Next week, I'm going to have for those of you that have been with me from the start, every year we do a end of the year sisterhood check-in, end of the year celebration, where we get to reflect on all the things that have happened throughout the year, all the things that has happened through our life, and we get to share and talk about the things that we've learned, right? And so this is my opportunity to share with you and to encourage you and let you know that when don't wait till January 1st to make a decision to persevere. Make a decision now that no matter what you do, what you plan to do in January, that you're going to persevere. Now, you're not going to allow anything to stop. You're not going to allow fear to stop you. You're not going to allow discouragement to stop you, but that you're going to continue to pursue the will of God for your life. And you will see as you begin to walk through it, you'll start to see, oh, wow, this wasn't as bad as I thought it was. So yeah, we're going to continue to watch some of this. But before we continue, after we continue watching this, we're going to take a quick break. But I want you to see how I continue to persevere, even though I didn't even have. I was going off the top of my head because my notes were all gone. So watch and listen.
Self-control in relationships, then what happens is it'll affect your marriage, it'll affect your relationship, it'll affect your friendships. When you don't take time, relationships take time. They take effort. It takes being intentional. If you are in a relationship, and whether you're married or single, and you are not putting in the time that's needed for that relationship to be cultivated or grow, then that's not exercising self-control. You spend more time being out in the street with your boys, out in the street with your girls, out doing your own thing. And what happens is it starts to kill the relationship, right? It also can be that way in terms of work. If you don't exercise self-control and govern yourself when you're at your job, then what happens is you get fired. You get fired, or somebody else is replaced by your position, and then you wind up having to struggle to get your needs met. So it's important to understand that when you learn how to govern yourself, and it's proof that you know how to exercise self-control, right? Proverbs 25:28 says, a man without self-control is like a city broken and left without walls. You have to set up boundaries for how you want to live your life. If you don't set up boundaries on how you want to live your life, then what's going to happen is it's going to be anything goes with you. What are you doing? Oh, I'm just always available. I'm just always this. You just have no structure to your life at all. So you're not really governing yourself if you're not taking time to plan or govern how you're going to spend your day. So be that person. And Titus 2:6, it says, likewise, exhort the younger men to be sober-minded. 1 Corinthians chapter 10:15 says, God is faithful, who will not allow you to be tempted above what you are able, but with the temptation also make a way of escape. You have to understand that sometimes things come to distract you, right? To distract you and deter you from your purpose, from the plan of God for your life. The Bible says a good man, the steps of a good man are ordered. So if you know that your steps are ordered, and you know that there are things distracting you and pulling you away from where God is taking you, then you have to be able to learn to recognize it in order to be able to activate the best choice in that circumstance. And that applies again to all areas of your life, right? So next, we're going to talk about
as you can see, I'm struggling to find my next point.
For mankind. In the beginning, he told Adam to have dominion over the earth resources. Okay. He told him to have dominion over the earth resources. And not only that, he gave him a responsibility to manage it, right? What are some things in your life you are not managing? Okay. Take a minute and think about that. What are some things you're not managing that are causing you to not govern your life the way it should be? Take some time and think about that. What are some things that you are lacking dominion over? You know, if God told us that He wanted us to have dominion over the earth's resources, then why aren't we dominating our own resources? Why are we not dominating the things that God has placed before us? Instead, we are just, like I said, some of us are not living our lives by design, we're living by default. So we're getting up, going to work, coming home, eat, sleep, getting up, coming. And there's nothing wrong with having a routine. But as long as that routine is still governing your life. If you come home and you go to sleep and you just want to rest all day, you're governing your health because you need rest in order to stay healthy, right? Sometimes we're asking God for more and we're not being a good steward over what we already have. We get frustrated because things are not working in our life the way we want it to. We get frustrated because we feel like, oh, I was doing this and this didn't happen. Well, how are you governing your life? Are you setting up boundaries in your life to protect you from making bad choices? Are you doing things in your life? Are you governing and exercising self-control in certain areas of your life that you can cause some of that frustration to be eliminated, right? You have to think about that. And when you're a person that has not self-governed or governed themselves, then you become like a chaotic person. And chaotic people repel resources. I'm gonna say that again. When you are chaotic, you repel resources. But when you organize your life, you attract resources. And I know that to be true in my own personal life, that when you have things chaotic around you and there's no order. God is a God of order. If you have no order or structure in your life, then what happens is you repel resources. But the minute you get yourself together and you begin to say, you know what, I'm going to clean up my credit. I'm going to work on, if I have to, work an extra part-time job to be able to get some things in order. Once you develop the mindset, or I'm going to start that business, right? I'm going to get up early in the morning. You may work from 9 to 5. I'm going to get up early in the morning and I'm going to work on my business before I go to work so that I can attract resources. And you'll be surprised when you start governing your life and your business, you will attract resources. All right. And that's just the fact of positioning yourself, right? Whatever you fail to manage, you'll lose. If you exercise and take care of your body, then you start losing the mobility in your body. I was talking to somebody one time and I was saying, if you just sitting down and you're not doing anything, you're not moving your body, then what happens is over a period of time, your body's gonna start aching. And you're not going to have the desire to really get up and move because you have not moved and made yourself mobile. You have failed at managing your health. So when you're eating junk food all day long, right? And you listening to, and you're intaking negativity all day, you're failing to manage your health. When you spend your money, and it's funny because we talked about this tomorrow. For those of you that are watching, tomorrow we're doing the entrepreneur roundtable. We do it every fourth Saturday every month. Make sure you guys watch on hashtag IBG. But it's going to be tomorrow at 12 noon. But that's one of the things that we were talking about. If you fail to manage your finances, then what happens is you start losing stuff. That car get repossessed. That house gets fall behind, right? Because we're putting our wants above our needs. You spending $300-400 on wigs, and you over here spending money on how you looking externally, and you're not taking care of business. You're not managing your finances. So anything that you don't manage, you will lose. And I'm Not saying that to judge you I'm saying it because I've learned that in my own experience. And there are some things I am still recovering from because of my bad choices. But the difference is I'm realizing I'm not blaming anybody for my choices that I made. What I'm doing is evaluating and I'm governing myself, right? When you govern yourself, then you make changes according to the information that is given to you. Because when you know better, you should do that. Okay. God doesn't create, God will give to whoever effectively manages. So it's just crazy because this makes me think about the parable, right? Of the 5 talents, right? He gave one person 5 gifts. He gave another person 3 gifts, one person 2, and one person 1, right? And everybody reproduced after their ability to be able to based on the gifts that they had. But that one person who had that one gift, they buried their gift, right? Because they were afraid. What are you burying, or what are you not governing in your life or in exercising self-control in that's causing you to lose or not be able to reap the benefits that you're supposed to receive? What is it? What is it? Think about that, right? God doesn't create expectation where there is no ability. I want to say that again. Let that sink in. God does not create expectation where there is no ability. Think about that for a moment. So God doesn't expect you to do something you don't have the skill or the ability to perform. He doesn't expect you to go out there and do a job of a nurse and you have no skills of the responsibilities that come with being a nurse. He doesn't expect you to go out and be a doctor to somebody where you have no ability, you have no education, you have no experience in that area. He doesn't create an expectation for you to do that. But if he imparts a gift inside of you where you might be somebody that can cook really well, right? So his expectation is for you to reproduce after the gifts and talents that he's given you, wherever that takes you. Just like I said in a previous broadcast, everybody's gift differ based on the grace that's given to them. So what is it that God has given you that you fail to fulfill expectation because you're looking at, I don't have the ability. Well, if he's giving you the ability, I want you to know there's expectation to fulfill it. Just like the one with the 1 talent. You may not have a whole bunch of talents. You may have one thing that you do well. Well, guess what? Do the darn thing. You may have 3 gifts that you do exceptionally well. Do the darn thing. If you have 5 gifts and talents, do the darn thing. Okay? Don't pray for something that you can't manage. This is, oh my gosh, I'm telling you. We ask God, give us oh Lord, I want a BMW. I want me a house on the hill and I want this. But what are you doing to manage that? Are you managing what you have now? Are you managing your little Honda, your little hoopty? Are you managing your little Acura or your whatever kind of vehicle you have? Well, you can't ask God to give you more if you don't manage what you have. Stop praying for God to give you more and you fail to govern yourself in the area of the things that you already have. God will protect things from you. What? God will protect things from you. Well, what do you mean by that, Nadir? If you're not good at governing somebody else's stuff or managing somebody else's stuff, he will not give you your own.
All right. Are you guys enjoying these highlights and clips? Put it in the comments if you are enjoying these clips of this particular one on governing yourself. And as you can see, again, I was going through this strictly with no notes. I had to go totally by memory. But we're going to continue with this particular clip. We're going to take a quick break and we're going to be right back after this particular video. But I wanted to encourage you and let you know that it doesn't matter. You don't have done is better than perfect. You have to keep going. Once I realized I didn't have my notes, I realized that even though I didn't have it in front of me, I had it in me. And that's what you have to realize. You have everything. God has given us all things pertaining to life and godliness. You have what you need to become the person that you need to be. You are built with everything on the inside. What you need to do is practice working things out. Yes, you have to practice working things out. And as you continue to work them out, you realize it gets easier and easier. And then it's like second nature. It's not like second nature to be who you are, because you are who you are and you're going to be who you are regardless who you're around, right? What happens is that when you start looking at what you are not, you look at other people and they do it like this, and I want to be able to do it like that, and I can't do it like that. I need better skill. We all have to walk out our gifts. We have to walk it out. The more we walk out, the better we get. So we're going to get more into this, and we're going to continue with this right after this. Thanks for watching.
I want you to remember that God's created everything you see. He breathed it into existence. Remember when his people were caught up in slavery? He rescued them. What he did was he parted the sea, and he made a way for them, and then he delivered their enemies to them, and he unlocks wombs, and he provides water from a rock, and he provides manna from heaven, and he brought down the walls of Jericho. He froze the sun, allowing victory. He's toppled giants with tiny stones. He's brought fire from heaven. He's shut the mouths of lions. He preserved life in the belly of a well. He's fed thousands with a few loaves. He gives the weak strength. He heals the sick. He's made the blind see, the deaf hear, the mute speak, the lame walk, and he's overcome evil, and he's made a way through death for you and me by the death and the resurrection of his son, Jesus Christ, that we will live with him forever. We will dwell in the house of the Lord forever and ever and ever and ever. What are we afraid of? His resume is flawless. He controls everything. And he loves you.
There's seasons that our gifts operate and flow in. There's seasons. And if you miss your season or your moment, your gift may not be no longer useful. Because if he called a generation to ask a question or to need something in a specific season, and he birthed you for that season, you're useless if you don't operate in your season.
Listen, listen. You're doing it again. You're doing it again. That's what you're doing.
Yeah. Put you down. Sing all my melodies.
All right, and we are back here on Sisterhood Check-In, going through some of our highlights on Sisterhood Check-In throughout the year. And I want to take some time and acknowledge some of the comments and let you know, I thank you so much for engaging with us. Thank you for watching, Khadija and Sabrina. Thank you so much. Hello to you too. Sabrina is an amazing, you guys, she's written a book called Cinnamon Girl. Oh, you gotta Cinnamon Girl, you gotta read the book. I'm telling you, you gotta go to her website and check it out. She's going to be joining us next week as we're doing the reflection of the end of the year celebration. So make sure you check out her page, Sabrina Zinneman. And she said, these are some great helpful tips. Thank you so much. I'm glad I can help. Antoinette Yolanda says, absolutely, really working on this in a few areas of my own. Absolutely, guys. That's the beautiful thing about it, is that each of us have an opportunity to go through different changes in our lives, and we have and as long as we're still living, we have time to reflect and to change. And that's what this particular broadcast is about. Looking at all your imperfections and looking at all the things that you've had to come through to make it to where you are now at this time, at this point of the year. And you're here, you're still alive. There's only a few days left in the year, and yet you are still here to talk about it. So join me as I continue to reflect on some of the bloopers, as I say, and some of the inspiring messages that I brought throughout this particular year.
You're asking for a house. You don't even take care of the one you live in. You're asking for a raise, and you don't even get to work on time. You're asking God, give me a business. I want to be able to own a business. I want to do this. And you can't even stay up an hour or two past your work time or at nighttime or in the morning to work on that vision. Stop praying and asking God to give you more when you don't have the ability, when you fail to initiate the effort that it takes to fulfill that. So God will sometimes protect things from you. So sometimes if doors are closing in your life, and this is for real, and this is something that I had to look at. If doors are closing in your life, you have to self-evaluate. Don't get in the pity party. Don't get all worked up. Oh, woe is me. You have to sit back and you have to reflect, because He will protect you from some things. If you don't know how to talk to people, if you don't know how to treat your current relationship, guess what? You're not going to be in a marriage. If you don't learn how to appreciate the person that's in your life, guess what? If you don't appreciate your husband or your wife, I can assure you, you won't be married very long. Right? So God will protect things from you to show you, until you show that you can be trusted with little. Look at Luke chapter 16, right? Pull this up. Luke 16 in verse 10. Luke 16 verse 10 said, he that is faithful in that which is least is faithful also in much, right? And he that is unjust in the least is also unjust in the much. So if you don't know how to govern and maintain what you have, you're not going to do well at managing a lot. It'll overwhelm you, actually. If you don't know how to manage 5 clients, he's surely not going to give you 10 clients. And it's not a bad thing. It's not, oh my gosh. It just means that you have to, sometimes we're praying and asking God for things, and we're not praying for the capacity to receive. God, I want this, I want that. Well, what is do you have the capacity to receive the very thing that you're asking for? Right? So, thank you guys. Thank you much. She says you're feeding the flesh instead of the spirit. Absolutely, Joanne. Eileen says, love this lesson. Thank you. Thank you for watching, Eileen. Thank you so much. So when we're asking God, give me more, He's not going to give you more until he knows that you have the capacity to receive the very thing you're asking for, right? So think about that. We're talking about governing ourselves and exercising self-control. You were born to solve a problem. You are God, and you're God's response to a need that He created in the earth. Think about that. You were born to solve a problem, and you are a response to a need He created in the earth. So don't look at yourself as if you're not worthy. I'm not good enough. You weren't born by mistake. If you're here and you're alive to tell about it, just believe it doesn't. Your parents may have not planned you, but God had a plan for you, right? Your parents may have not thought that you were going to be here on this earth. Shoot, heck, some of them are still surprised the more you evolve. They look at you and don't realize that had they aborted you, they may have aborted so many problems to people's situation. You know how many people's situations would have been unsolved if you were not here to solve that problem? You are an answer to a question God knew that your generation was going to ask. Think about that. You are an answer to a question in your generation that God knew was going to ask, right? You are a solution. I want you to look at yourself and look in the mirror and say, I am a solution. I am here because there was a plan and purpose designed for me to be here. Never mind the circumstances that got me here. I am here. And because I'm here, I am a solution. Solution to what? That's where you have to do your work. That's where you have to figure that out. That's where you think God's going to give you something and not and allow you to seek or allow you to operate or attempt to do it without him, and he gave it to you? Not. You have to create. There is a seek that is on the inside of you that will cause you to pursue it. Just like a bird, right? A bird don't go to bird school to learn how to fly. It's already built inside of him. A fish doesn't go to fish school to learn how to fish to learn how to swim. It's built on the inside of him. So sometimes you have to go on the inside of you and spend time with God and say, Lord, what solution? I'm here. I know things are not going the way I want to, but I'm learning how to govern myself. And because I'm learning how to govern myself, guess what? I am a solution. And I'm going to figure out, what problem am I here to solve? What problem am I here to change? Because there are people attached to the problems you are meant to solve. Next, don't work for money. Work to solve problems. When you work to solve problems, people pay you for solutions. I need a job. I need this. I need that. If you have a solution, when you work to solve that problem, you are paid for your solution. Don't get it twisted. People are not paying because they like you. Sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't. They are attracted to the gift that's on the inside of you because your gift solves their problem. So govern yourself to not be attached to if a person brings you up and like you and you're the best thing in the world until 2 days later, there's always going to be somebody who they feel is better than you. So you have to exercise and understand that I may not be built to solve every problem, but I'm going to focus on the solution that I am built to solve. And I'm going to give it everything that I got. And I don't care if that's one problem. It's like the person with the one talent. If I only have one problem to solve, guess what? I'm going to solve that problem with everything on the inside. Yes, Joanna said you have to get it from the manufacturer, which is our Father. Absolutely. It's like I said, he's not going to impart. It's like we're a package. Think about what a gift really is. You don't really know what's in a gift until you unwrap it, right? So when you wrap it and take off the ribbon, then you get to see when you put in the work to figure out what's on the inside. And God helps us do that. He ain't gonna give you no gift, like I said, and didn't you exclude him from helping you? Sometimes some gifts you need help opening. You ever tried to open up something and you just couldn't get it, and you're just toiling with it, and you're like, man, I can't get this open. I need help. There's some gifts inside of you you can't open by yourself. You need help. And sometimes being connected to the right people, being connected to God, there's some gifts God is only going to be able to help you open. There are some gifts you're going to be in the midst of people and they're going to help you open. There's going to be some gifts you're going to be able to naturally do, and they're just going to be able to naturally you're going to just naturally be able to open them up yourself, right? Either way, right? Either way, God has placed something on the inside of you. Once you find the problem that you were meant to solve, that's where you'll find your wealth. And I'm not talking about just finances. Don't get it twisted now. I'm talking about wealth. Wealth is having access to what you need when you need it. Riches is just having a lot of stuff. Having a lot of stuff doesn't bring contentment. You have minimalists who live with very little and is wealthy. You have people who live in poor countries and govern themselves a certain way and are wealthy. Don't get it twisted. When you solve a problem, you become valuable. People will pay you to help to solve their problem. And we're going to go ahead and continue with this. I'm going to go ahead and take a quick break and take a commercial break. And we're going to continue with this conversation. If you are enjoying this conversation, put it in the comments and let me know how this is impacting you. But while you're doing that, we'll be right back. We're going to go ahead and take a commercial, and we'll be back right after this.
And as you can see, here in this particular episode, I began to share, and to me, I think this is one of my best interviews, best times where I did Sisterhood check-in, and I didn't interview anyone, and I basically solely went off of what was on the inside, and based on what I remembered about my notes. And that's what happens sometimes when you get in a flow. And you might have those notes and you might say, hey, I'm going to go like this. This is the way it's going to be. And all of a sudden, you just start to flow because you are reminded that somebody on the other side of your voice is listening. And as I said, your God has put a solution inside of you to solve a question, to solve a problem, to somebody's question in your generation. And you have that answer, right? And so in order for you to get that, and sometimes we don't know till we start activating. Sabrina says, I am a gift that needs assistance to open sometimes. Yes. Sometimes we have gifts that we can open up on our own. Sometimes we have gifts where other people we might need assistance. And some gifts only God can open. And some gifts you need professional installation. And the key thing is knowing, exactly, because I believe those different stages come at different points when it comes to our gifts. So that knowing that you need assistance is half the battle, because some people have a hard time acknowledging that they need help in identifying. Thank you so much, Sabrina. Some people have a hard time identifying. And those are some of the things that I've learned in my journey this year. How, even though it's good to plan, I'm never going to tell you not to plan. Plan your day, plan your life. But if your plan doesn't go the way you desired it to go, don't get discouraged and don't give up and think, well, I planned this year to do this and I've done this. I'm not talking about people that have written out New Year's resolutions and written out plans and goals and never fulfilled any of the things that they said. I'm talking to you that have done everything. You have written down the goals. You have pursued in the direction that you wanted to go in. You have done everything you could, and you feel like you still are not where you need to be. Some things just take time. Despise not the day of small beginnings. The more you do it, the key thing, you want to know the key to success in anything in your life? Consistency. It's being consistent when it's not convenient. Being consistent when you don't feel like it. Being consistent when the odds are against you, like in my situation, as I've shown you, my computer froze. I literally walked in my son's room and I said, I'm done with Sisterhood check-in. I don't want to do anything Sisterhood check-in. I'm completely done. And I was serious. And my son looked at me and he said, you got to keep going, Mom. You can't give up. I'm like telling him this in the midst of being kicked out of my own broadcast, right? And I'm sitting there, my guests are talking, and I'm kicked out of my broadcast. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to get back on my broadcast. My computer won't start. I can't. And because I had so much stuff on my computer, I had to reboot my system. And it just took an extremely long time. It was discouraging. And I wanted to give up. And I almost gave up. I sat at my desk and was like, you know what? This isn't for me. And if I didn't think about why I was doing what I needed to do, then I would have given up. And that's sometimes all we need to do to be able to persevere past the discouragement is think about why you're doing it. Think about why God saved you out of that circumstance. Think about why you're in a position to help other people. When you start to begin to think about your why, I remember a really good friend of mine said, sometimes you have to deepen your why. Sometimes you have to keep going back at that why and keep attacking that why until it is embedded on the inside of you and it pushes you past your circumstance. And that's how it is. You have to get past that. You have to get past the fear of a failure, because let me tell you something. Most people don't tell you, but failure is a part of success. It is. If you think you're going to get to the one side of your life to the other without failure, sometimes I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be the first person to tell you, you will. And you have to be okay with that. The problem is not necessarily failing, right? What really makes you a failure is not that you have gotten discouraged and stopped for a moment. What makes you a complete failure is when you just give up altogether. When you give up altogether and you turn away from doing the thing that you know that you were called to do. That is failure, right? I gave the example in one of my other broadcasts when I was talking about the fig tree and how Jesus walked up to the fig tree and he expected that fig tree. He was hungry. So he created that fig tree to solve a problem. And that was to feed him, right? To eat. It was to grow figs. Here he is hungry, and that fig tree did not bear the fruit at the time and at the season that it was needed for him to bear it. And guess what? Jesus cursed the fig tree and said, nobody's going to eat from you anymore. And you don't want to get to a point in your life where God has prepared you for a season for you to do certain things and you refuse to execute. All right. You refuse to execute because you keep making excuses on why you are not executing. I can't because of this. I'm unable to because of this. No, if God equipped you and he put it on the inside of you, you'll get better as you do with time. As you can see over this past year, there's a lot of things. I'm a lot more comfortable now talking without a script or without any preparation than I was 11 months ago. Right? It's because I had to keep pushing and I had to keep digging and figuring out what my why was, right? And the same thing you have to do. You have to keep pushing and you have to keep digging. Why are you doing what you're doing? What's motivating you to do what you do? Because if you don't know what's motivating you or what's pushing you to do what you do, then guess what? You'll do it for a while and then you'll give up. You'll do it for just a little bit and then you'll give up. Because you don't have enough stuff pushing you, right? To get past that. So before this year is out, I want you to take some time and think about it. Rewatch the broadcast. Go to my YouTube channel, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Next year, and I'm going to be putting a lot more videos on YouTube that you may not even see on Facebook. So I want you to subscribe to my YouTube. Go to my YouTube, bit.ly/WOP, Woman of Proverbs, WOP YouTube, right? When again, bit.ly/WOP YouTube, and subscribe to my channel. I'm really going to be, and those are some of the things, and I have it there at the bottom of the screen for those of you that are watching. I'm going to be really pushing myself to do more videos because I know that I've gone through a lot, and have had a year of being able to exercise my voice and exercise, exactly, and be able to think about some of the things that I've gone through. And the more I think about the things that I've gone through, the more I think about the things I've overcome, the more I have reason to keep pushing, the more I have reason to help somebody else, because I can sit here and look at myself now and say, wow, I'm here. I'm at a point where I can breathe. But guess what? 10 years ago, 5 years ago, I wasn't there. I couldn't see past the day. I couldn't see past the month because I was always frustrated about what was going on in my life in the moment, in the day, never being able to have anything. I've never seen myself doing this 10 years ago, 15 years ago. I never seen it. I never saw myself writing a book. I've always desired, but I never really seen it, because there's a difference between desiring something and then seeing it, because you're not going to really do something. You're not going to really be proactive until you see it, right? You might desire to do a whole lot of things, but until you make a decision, till you actually see beyond your physical sight, you're not going to go after it. You're not going to pursue it, and you're not going to be consistent with it, right? So I got one other video I want to show you before I actually close out. But this video was was during a time where, I was visiting my cousin when she was here, and I was, over watching her, and I had to do my broadcast, right? My cousin was sick, right? She was completely sick, and I still had to do my broadcast, right? I couldn't say, oh, I didn't even, didn't even cross my mind the time to think about, doing a replay or anything like that. I just was like, oh my God, I know I have to do this. I got to get done doing this, but I refused to give up, and I had to do it, and I had to work with what I had, even though I didn't have the best signal. It was frustrating. I didn't have the best signal, but yet I kept going. And this is earlier this year, right around, I want to say maybe January or February, because I have on a sweater, so apparently it must have been really cold. So it was like maybe January or February of this year. But I had to keep going. I had to keep doing my broadcast and keep being persistent, because one thing I realized, that anything that you stay consistent and persistent doing, eventually it gets easier to overcome all the small obstacles. And I'm going to show this last little clip, and then we're going to go ahead and leave, because I know many of you are home with your family, and I so appreciate you taking the time to watch my broadcast on Christmas Eve. And for those of you that may be watching the replay, make sure you put hashtag replay. Let me know how Sisterhood Check-In is blessing you, and make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel, so that you can see more videos like this in the coming new year. So I'm going to go ahead and show this clip of this. This is a young lady that I interviewed. Her name is Kaisha Hill, and she focuses a lot on self-care. So we're going to go ahead and listen to her clip, and I'm going to show you some of the things I've had to go through.
30, it says, I'm sorry. Matthew 11 verse 28 to 30, it says, come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me. I am gentle in heart. You will find rest for.
And this is majority of the show. I was so discouraged doing this, because this woman had an amazing story, and I just felt like my internet did no justice to hosting the broadcast. It was very frustrating, but again, I had to keep going, because the point is, keep going, not to get discouraged. You got to keep going, right? No matter what goes on in your life, you have to keep going. So I'm going to go ahead and play a few more clips. So hopefully you'll be able to hear some of her testimony, but this was a horrible connection trying to do this interview.
Especially as moms, we need that rest to be able to rest in God. And sometimes resting in God means taking what we feel like, as long as we're doing, and at a moment when you're resting, you're not always in control. You always fight to be in control. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, here's the thing. I'm transparent, and I am my astrological sign is Taurus, so I definitely have control issues that I'm trying to work out. So I think that by all means, you are absolutely correct. Reality is that most things you have absolutely no control over. The things that you do have control over, you modify those things, you adjust them, you fix them, you correct them. But the things that you don't, you literally have to just be still and know that it's taken care of. One way or another. Here's the thing, the outcome may not be positive, but the outcome is definitely for the greater good. So you have to just, trust that things will work out for themselves. And, like you said, a lot of moms, I don't necessarily want to always make it about women, but it's true. A lot of moms, we do not even allow ourselves the opportunity to rest, to say no, to, be okay with disappointing people. And, at the end of the day, high blood pressure is real. Heart attacks happen. And the last migraine headaches, stress comes in so many different areas, ways. Stress can literally kill you. And so if you don't get a handle on that as soon as you can, figuring out what works for you, what doesn't, what overwhelms you, what doesn't, what things do you have to say no to, what people do you have to alienate yourself from or isolate yourself from so that their negative energy does not absorb into your, psyche and your energy. You have to do whatever it is that you have to do in order to maintain your emotional health, your psychological health, your physical health, all of those things. But like I said, everything begins with just taking a little time. What do I like? Jot it down. What do I like? What don't I like? Are the things that I'm doing working for the greater good of who I want to be 5 years from now? Your financial literacy is definitely a part of self-care. Am I, because I personally believe you can tithe whether you in the church house or not. Am I giving back? Am I a giver? Am I always having my hand out? Am I selfish? Am I self-centered? Am I egotistical? Am I conceited? Do I not understand that there's definitely a higher power than me? And I am not. I'm human. So am I as humble as I should be? There are a lot of things we need to just check at the door so that we can improve.
And as you can see here, we are ending our last clip of the day. It doesn't matter, guys. I don't care what it is. And as you can see, it was so terribly fuzzy. I couldn't see. I mean, it was just like, I think I was so frustrated with this particular broadcast because I really wanted to really hear and it's good because you heard her testimony as much as possible because she didn't have issues on her end. You just had a hard time hearing on my end. But the point that I wanted to continue to make is over and over again, I've showed you many different videos to show you that it doesn't matter the situation. It doesn't matter the circumstances. I've been doing Sisterhood check-in since September of 2020, right? Since 2020. And here we are at 2000, about to approach 2022. And I didn't have to worry. I never picked a Sunday a Friday that I worried about guests. And it's funny because I don't have my guest list, out for a year at a time. I walk by faith. And sometimes I take a moment and I say, God, who do you want me? Who would be best suitable to share? Who's appreciative of what you've done for them and don't mind sharing it with other people? And those are the people that I look for. Those are the people that God allows me to reach out to, right? To be able to share their testimonials and to be able to help other women. And we have many, 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 many more. I can't tell you how many interviews that we have done on this broadcast that I'm so very much grateful for, and the many more that are going to come. So if you have a testimonial and you have an amazing story that you want to be bold about and you want to share and help somebody else to be able to get through whatever it is that they're dealing with, make sure you reach out to me and make sure you inbox me. And I would love to be able to have you here on our broadcast for 2022 so that we can be able to share your story with the world, because you are an answer to somebody's question that they have been asking. You are a solution to somebody's question that they have been asking God. And I just want you to know that you are not alone. And if you need help, make sure you reach out to me at www.womanofproverbscoaching. Book a call with me. Let me help you. I'm a certified life and business coach, and I know a lot of the struggles that you go through as an individual in life and in business. And there are some tools that I have that can help you to be able to get through some of those hurdles. So book a call with me at womanofproverbscoaching.com and let me help you get to the other side of your journey so that you can be able to continue to do whatever it is that you've been born to do. Just stick with it. And even though things may not work out the way you want them to, just remember that everything takes time. Done is better than perfect. It's the start that stops a lot of people. Don't allow fear to stop you from moving forward in 2022. Make sure you join us next week when we have our end of the year celebration here on Sisterhood Check-In. And I will see you. For those of you that are watching the replay, thank you so much for taking the time and come back and watching the replay. Make sure you join us on Sunday for Dinner with the Coaches with Coach Thomas Taylor III. And we will see you next week. Thank you guys for watching. Have an amazing, wonderful day.
Yeah. Put you down.